Hello there, welcome to Yin Massage. Have you ever noticed that when you write down a to-do list or maybe you're making plans for the week, all of a sudden as you're writing things down, a feeling of worry that creeps into stress, that can creep into overwhelm, starts to come just by making the list? It's this projection into the future, fearing we're going to repeat the mistakes of the past. I myself have found myself in this cycle of planning, projection, worry. And so today's Yin class, whether you're starting your week, ending your week, planning something new, reviewing something that's happened, I want us to release that fear, that negative energy around what could go wrong, and relax and mellow into a space of what could go right. So, without further ado, let's get to the practice. We're going to start very simply with our legs up the wall. So, grab your mat and make it perpendicular to a wall, a bare space that you have. And just bring your hips, your left hip or your right hip, doesn't really matter, as close to the walls as possible. And then turn onto your back. And by moving your hip to the wall, you're just ensuring that you're decreasing the amount of space between your back and the wall as much as possible. If you want, you can grab some blankets for the back of your head. But for everyone else, we'll just hold here in this legs up the wall pose. I like to keep my heels here. You may enjoy different variation, maybe this little flash dance pose, but we're gonna keep it here. Our legs do so much for us every day, holding us up, walking us, carrying us around, grounding us. And this simple inversion helps recirculate the blood in such a magical way that when the legs come off the wall, not only are our legs replenished, but our heart is as well. And this is a great pose to do anytime you've just finished a long walk, or maybe a leg exercise, or end of the day, midday sometimes, maybe after a nap. And it's a simple inversion, and I just want you to consider some things that might have you worried or anxious right now. Maybe it's a big to-do list, maybe it's one big thing and we feel unprepared or scared about it, or because it's so new, we don't know how it's going to turn out. And just take big, deep breaths. Draw them as low as you can down into your belly. And with each exhale, just allow your worry, your anxiety to just soften a little bit. Notice the tingling sensation happening in your feet and your legs. Be curious about that sensation. And know that when you come through this practice, you will feel totally different than when you started. And that's thanks to your breath and just a few humble postures that we'll spend quite a bit of time in. That will help us release the fears, the worries, and come into a place of calm, of perhaps even eagerness of what's to come. Just one more minute here. Just let those worries melt away as you feel your back on the floor, your legs and your feet resting on the wall, your hands, palms down, heavy on the floor, face relaxed, deep breathing. Acknowledge the benefit you're giving to your body and your legs in particular right now. Feel pleased that you're giving them that time, that space to rejuvenate and restore. Good. Now stay in this wall pose, but what we're going to do is bring the left foot, the left ankle, so that it's right above the right knee. So you're kind of in this little figure four position. And make sure it's not on the knee. You don't want to press into the joint, but just slightly above, maybe on the thigh if you need it for a little more space. Now slowly bring the right leg down. And so the foot is flat against the wall. And so here you're going to find a nice little stretch in the left hip. You control the volume on this one. So we're going to hold here for about 3 minutes on each side. And just if you want a little more stretch, or as you go through and you find you have some space, just bring that right foot down and kind of press that left ankle into that right thigh to get a little more resistance. Once you've found the place that gives you a nice stretch and you've found that edge, just breathe into it. We'll hold here for 3 minutes. Our hips carry a lot of emotional baggage from the past, or what our mind considers the past. And really, in my experience, all worry has been, and I'm a chronic worrier, I'm working on changing that story. And it's always just about something new happening. Oh, I'm teaching something new, or I get to do a new class, or I'm meeting a new student, or I have a new project to work on, and I'm not sure of the process, not sure if I'm prepared enough. And so my mind reverts back to past failures and how that felt. It doesn't really matter about the outcome, but that feeling of failure, deficiency. And so that just roars back as, well, I'm not confident about this, and therefore I know I'm gonna feel bad at the end of this. And it's just such an eclipsing and unfortunate moment if we let it dominate. It's okay if that spurts up. In this yin practice, we have the time, as you breathe into your hips right here, to acknowledge those worries from the past, those creeping feelings that we've experienced come up. And we just can see them and release them, knowing that they're not really our present at all. We're just lying here on the floor. Nothing to worry about here. And they're not our future. Our future hasn't come. So it's all relegated to past and past adrenaline. And this time, these 3 minutes on each side, will really give us the benefit of seeing and releasing those old emotions that we still carry with us. That maybe our body wanted us to remember for this practice alone, but now it's giving you the chance to live a little more struggle-free in your day-to-day. If you found you've come a little too much, just a little too much pinching in the hip, and you can press the left hip out a little bit more, give a little more leverage with your left palm if you want, but you can always slide back up the wall. But in these sustained yin postures, you really do get a chance to become aware of the underlying emotional element happening and a real chance to release it, as opposed to a very fast vinyasa practice where maybe you get that in a sequence or maybe it doesn't happen till the very end. Here you get to deal with things right in the moment that they come up for you, come up out of your muscles and your bones. All right, so slowly bring the left foot back onto the wall and switch. So extend your right ankle so that it's above your left knee, under your left thigh, and then slowly bring that left sole of your foot onto the wall, creating the necessary tension that you feel you need, and hold there. The role of memory, we think it's always located in the brain, and of course that's where it is developed and considered, but memory lives in every cell of our body, in every tissue, and our body intelligence collects memory and sensation, whether it's adrenaline rushes from the past or aches and pains or clutches in the chest or sinks in the stomach, and they all combine. And I don't just want to focus on the negative aspects. There's also the joys, the happiness, and our memory helps us recall those things that are important or that are valued. But we get to be the choosers of that filter, of what comes up, and constantly taking inventory of what flashes across our conscious mind, because those are the thoughts that carry so much emotional weight, and those are the thoughts that are likely to reverberate when we're starting something new or making a list and worried about how something might turn up. So we got to pay very careful attention to those thoughts coming across our conscious mind and saying, is that a memory that I really need to hold on to? Or can I just let that go, recede back into the mind? Because in so many ways, history never actually repeats itself. It looks similar, can sound the same, but just as every 12 years, the cells in your body completely recycle, you're a completely different human being biologically than you were 12 years prior. So too with life. Every person's different, every situation's different. The beliefs, the technology, the circumstances, the trillions of variables involved are always different. So history can help create analogies and understanding, but it never repeats. Yet we fear that it will. And in the exact same way. So whether we got in trouble and had a really bad punishment for it, or something unexpected happened in the news, some sort of terrible incident. We're worried it might happen again. It's just living in a state of chronic worry, and we're not living in the present. We're not observing the gifts that are actually being afforded to us, the abundance in our lives. And we're robbing ourselves of future joy by spending so much time in that fearful state. Good. Now release the right leg, bring it back up onto the wall, both heels on there. Give yourself 2 deep breaths in. Exhale out. And again, inhale. And as you exhale, just come down slowly onto your right side, down onto your right hip. Let everything fall easy. Push yourself up. And just come onto all hands and knees for a second. You might feel a little lightheaded. That's okay. If you need to go into child's pose for a second, but just notice how your legs feel. Notice the blood rushing back into them, the life force that it's giving. And let's do a little cat-cow, just 3. Inhale, look up, push into the palms. Exhale, curve the back, push away. And again, let the neck hang heavy. Good, that's just to warm up the spine. Now, grab some blocks. Also make sure you have a strap with you as well. So if you need to pause and grab some blocks or a strap, go ahead and do that. Put them on their highest setting. Also, if you're near a couch or a chair that sits a little low, that works really well. And we're just going to do a block-supported child's pose to release part of the upper back and the back that was on the floor for so long, as we're going to start to really get into the shoulders and open up the heart space so that we can move from this place of worry and fear to embracing the unknown into a place of relaxed eagerness and fun. So we're going to take 3 minutes here. So just come up into a wide-legged child's pose. If you want, if you want more of like a back stretch, you can bring your knees together, come forward like this. If you want to get more into your hips and you like those sensations we were doing earlier, keep the big toes touching and just have the hips go wide. Now, bring the blocks to a place so that your palms can grip pretty fully on there, okay? And what you want to do is come to a place where you can come down into a child's, where it's kind of like this. Okay, so the head is hanging heavy, and you're just getting this nice stretch across the upper back. Now, here I will say, what I'm going to do actually is put a cushion on top of here, because this block height, actually, you want your hands to be a little higher than your shoulders. So when you're down, they're up like here, even if it's a few inches. This is going to ensure you get a nice big back stretch, okay? So 3 minutes here. Which is why if you have like a couch or a chair nearby, a low chair, that works really well. So if we want to activate a different vibration than fear, we actually can't deactivate fear. It is a emotion that has its own momentum. And as it carries us with new thoughts, it can also attract people who are fearful and just as worried, and they bring that anxiety into our space, which amplifies our own. And it's kind of like a car that is stuck in neutral and coming down a hill. And as the momentum gains, it picks up speed. And if you try to stop the car when it's at that level of momentum, you're going to get crushed. And so sometimes the momentum of fear and worry just needs to play itself out. That's its karmic balance, and there's a lot of learning that can be done there. But if we're in the early stages of it, you're feeling good, you're waking up fresh, but all of a sudden you're writing that list or worried about a call you have, and you start to feel that sensation. What we want to do is notice that that's happening, and before that car can roll down the hill, we can get out right in front of it and stop it. And we do that not by concentrating on the worry or validating whether it is big or small, real or imagined. We just choose a different perspective. We activate a different emotion that has nothing to do with conditions happening in our lives. 50 more seconds here. Might be feeling a nice tinge in the arms and the upper back and the back of the shoulders, and that's all good. Just breathe deep. If you need to come up a little bit to release a little tension, that's fine. If it's getting painful, but I would strongly urge breathe into the discomfort. It'll give you more space in the shoulders. And slowly come on up. And I mean really slowly, because with yin, when we're in these stretches, it's like there's a garden hose full of water going, and we're then bending the hose and cutting off circulation. And so when we re-engage and the water's flowing or the blood's flowing, there's this spring-back effect. But we want to make sure that the muscle fibers and the joints don't snap back and injure themselves. So we got to be gentle going in and very gentle coming out. So you can remove your little block tower and grab your strap. Actually, I'm going to grab this cushion just to sit on. You can sit in easy pose or rock pose like this. And we're just going to do a couple minutes on each side, strap behind the back. So if you have the flexibility and you can do the bind, we're going to start with the right, reach the right arm up, clasp the back with the left hand. I have no such flexibility in my shoulders. They're very tight. I do a lot of lifting and presses and handstands, and so they're tight. My bind isn't there yet. So for the rest of us, we get to use a strap. So just take your right arm up like this, elbow bent, and then grab the back of the strap best you can to a level that is good and tight. And we're just going to hold here for a couple minutes. And this is just just slowly breathe, and this is gonna slowly open up the chest and the shoulders before we go into our major pose for today. So going back to that image of the car, we want to get out in front of it and change the momentum. So again, it means not dwelling on or wanting to be different from the fear or the worry. But you actually need to create a different perspective, think of something else. And the first part of that can be just getting into a better feeling state and thinking of things in your life that have happened or are happening that make you feel better. So if it's relief, if it's relaxation, because it's not so easy to go from fear to joy. Sometimes we need an emotional trajectory, kind of a path. But if we want relief or relaxation from where we are, just, think of the last nice massage you've had and the smells and the sensations and the body relaxation you experienced and the calmness of mind. Maybe you were in a float spa. Maybe you were in a yoga class and you just felt so at ease afterwards. Maybe you had a conversation with a friend or a family member and it was so uplifting or relieving or comforting. And so you just run a few thoughts and get into detail. Use your memory to help establish a feeling place that is better than where you were. And that starts to activate a different emotion, a different vibration in your body. Slowly undo the bind. Let that right hand come down very slowly. Shake out the wrists and the arms. And we'll do the other side. So left hand up. Grab the back of the strap with the right hand. And hold. Now you're going to find that one shoulder might have a little more space than the other, or there's some cramping. Just breathe it in. And the breath really is like an iron. It's amazing how when you focus on the muscle that you want to relieve, you can inhale into it, inhale that fresh oxygen, and then exhale the CO2, the lactic acid, the tension. Exhale is all relax. It's all the come down. And keep driving your upper elbow back a little bit so that you can keep the chest wide and keep the spine straight and neck in alignment, chin parallel to the floor, not looking up, not straining your neck or anything like that. So let's say you, for a short moment, are able to think your way into a place of calm. And there are a lot of ways. Memory is one tool. You could meditate, and that'll pause the momentum of fear. But a tactic that I've found very useful is excitement. You can always recall moments where you were really excited, whether it was about to go on vacation or start something new, first day of school, a relationship that you've had that maybe was just starting or was getting to a good place, a movie coming out that you were really excited to see. And you just start from that seed of excitement, and I promise you will be able to think your way to a feeling place of excitement. And that's really where we want to rest in anything that's coming up new for us. How well could this turn out? How amazing might this line up with what I actually want? So, use your memory, use your meditation, use a movie, whatever you might need to just kind of reset and come to a God's honest vibrational difference from that worry to relief or excitement. Okay, release the left hand slowly. Okay, and you can remove the strap, kind of move the blocks and anything else out of your way. Okay, and just kind of sit up for a little bit, move the fingers around. So blood rushes back. Come and do a little child's pose. So from child's pose, come down onto the ground into a sphinx pose. So elbows under shoulders. And what we're going to do is a pose I lovingly have called the straitjacket pose. Come to love, come to learn. And this is really going to help expand and open the shoulders. Shoulders are where there are a lot of injuries, a lot of tightness, creates a lot of tightness in our neck. So we're going to alleviate all of that. So take your left hand and left arm, kind of bring it underneath the right so that you're kind of leaning on that left shoulder. Swing the right elbow kind of where your left elbow is. So you're making this little cross hatch position. Palms are up facing the sky. You're going to hold here for 3 minutes. And so you can be up here. If you need to, you can grab a block and your forehead can rest there. Maybe you don't have the shoulder mobility and yours is more like this. That's okay. Grab a block to rest your head on. But as you breathe into this pose, you're going to find a lot of expansion. Just keep the palms facing up. This is a pose you're really going to find your edge. There's that fine line between discomfort, that place where if you stay and breathe, you can come into a very mature place in the pose, in the posture, and reap a lot of the benefits from this stretch. If it's painful, back out. But this posture will help you see that line very clearly. So excitement is a vibration that we can really get to using the power of our focus. And we can do it in a yoga posture, we can do it just by sitting down and thinking and daydreaming, but it's just important to note when the fear is happening. Realize it doesn't serve us. We're fearing something that hasn't happened yet and fearing the worst, doubting our own abilities, doubting our own confidence. That's not how we want to live, and it's not a way we should practice living. So notice what's happening. Find some relief, some relaxation, pleasing thoughts, memories of relaxation. Then move to excitement, eagerness, anticipation. You like surprises. You know that, you watch movies not to know the ending, but, all the suspenseful twists and turns around the way. 30 more seconds. And that's what we want to do with life. Okay, slowly bring your arms. Kind of bring your left elbow first, lean on that right elbow. Come back into that Sphinx pose for a second. Let your head drop. Give your arms a rest. And we're going to do the other side. So bring your right elbow, your right hand forward underneath the left arm so that the right shoulder is closest to your body. The left was closest in the other one. And then make that straight jacket pose in as graceful a way as possible on the left side. 3 minutes here. And then you can rest your head on your shoulder, your arm, on a block, some blankets, a pillow. You want your face to be relaxed. You really want the stretch across the whole front and side of the shoulder. So even now, if you came into this class, maybe you had worries, or maybe there were some fears that went unnoticed, but this narrative prickled them within you. Take the time now. Assuming the momentum hasn't carried you and you're a nervous wreck right now, although you're in a yin class, so my hope is that you're actually pretty at ease despite some of the tension in these stretches. Your mind is pretty focused. And so try to match the physical sensations you're creating in these postures. A nice stretch, nice release in the legs. Take the time now, use your focus, come into relaxation. Come into calm. If you're in that relaxed place, try to focus yourself into anticipation, excitement, eagerness. Think those thoughts and create those images, create those spaces that help you feel that way. And that emotion will become your perspective. It'll become your filter on what lies before you. And slowly untangle the arms. And just lie down, head to the ground, tilted to one side. Notice the sensation in the shoulders. Feel that relief. Feel appreciation for your body and yourself for committing to and following through with that posture. I know that can be an intense one. Slowly make your way up a little bit. So we're going to do just a simple chest opener. So bring your arms out onto a T. So both arms are out onto the ground, palms on the ground. Bring your left palm underneath your left elbow and push yourself up onto your right hip so that you're like this, like a log. Head on the ground. Now you can stay here. If you want a little more, place your left leg behind you, behind the right leg, and use your left foot and your left hand to kind of push your chest open a little bit more. This is just to help counter some of that closed shoulder movement we were doing, but also activate the heart space. This shouldn't feel nearly as intense as what we just did, but it should activate the chest and the right shoulder quite a bit. Just here for a couple of minutes. It's empowering to know that you can create a whole different emotional element within your body and within your mind. And the more we practice that focus and can change our vibration consciously, it takes a while, but over time, neural networks in our mind map it so those become our dominant everyday filters and experiences. And, unfortunately, we're conditioned in society that you need to struggle, life needs to be hard, you should worry, you should fight and tooth and claw for everything. But that's just an expectation and a normalization of a really rough way to live. And we can do it with so much more grace and gentleness, but we have to practice that perspective first. And come out, roll down onto your stomach, both arms out, left palm on the ground, bring your right palm underneath your right elbow, flip onto your left hip. I'm just going to adjust myself to move the mic. Oh. In yoga, we always talk about overcoming the veils in the mind, the disturbances in the mind, the cliches. And there are many techniques and technologies in yoga to do that, to come to a place of spaciousness, of calm, of even no mind. And we want to get there. We want to feel present and very involved. Our society, we were taught in school, is all through mental stimulation. So if you're finding it hard to find presence and no mind, that state of non-thinking, then I invite you to use the power of your focus, to use your mind to conjure the thoughts and emotions, because your body can't tell the difference between a thought and a real experience. It receives the same charge. So you could call it manipulation, but really you're consciously choosing the experience that you're giving yourself. And by doing that, you're then creating a momentum of that very specific energy of relaxation, of eagerness, of excitement. Breathing deep into that left upper chest. And slowly come on out. Very good. So now we're going to go into our Shavasana. You can do a normal Shavasana, just lying flat on your back. You could do a legs up the wall Shavasana if you want to engage that inversion once again. You can also do, this would be my recommendation, take your blocks for a heart opening Shavasana. So get your first block to come down right where your thoracic area, kind of like your mid-back begins. And then this top block to rest right underneath the back of the skull. And it may take a little bit of positioning because you want to feel comfortable. You want to feel like you can rest here. But once you found it, let your palms face to the sky, arms out, and just breathe nice and deep. So I don't know if any of you have seen Frozen 2, the sequel to the Disney smash hit, but early on in the movie, Elsa, the queen, the ice queen, she hears a mysterious voice that keeps her up at night. And she sings this song about being scared and yet excited for going into the unknown, following this voice, anticipating this call for adventure. And in that song, there's this choice of feeling worried and fearful, which really are just manifestations of doubt that keep us where we are. Keep us where we are in life, but emotionally just drained, but also safe because we may not be happy, but at least we know we're going to be okay. But Into the Unknown is this really inspiring song and call to leap forward with eagerness and excitement, even if you're not prepared, even if there are people who are better than you, even if you've never tread this path before. Do it. You go on that adventure, commit to that to-do list, commit to that new project with that perspective of excitement, of adventure, and embrace the unknown, which is all life ever is. So let every unknown in your life be that movie, that adventure that you get to go on. And then you start with a jump and a spring in your step. Let all those worries and fears just melt away as you choose the emotional starting place that feels best to you. Just breathe and imagine. Feel your heart open and pour with love and compassion for yourself, for all your new projects, for all the wonders yet to come into your experience. It's only through an open heart, through a vulnerable and open heart, that we can truly receive the amazing stories and gifts coming our way. Unguarded, unshielded, eager, embracing, melting in to each new adventure. You can stay here in Shavasana as long as you like, or if you're ready, you can slowly come on up. Thank you for practicing. May you find the beautiful release of fear that is your birthright and is your life to claim. Embrace the unknown and thrive in a world of your own adventure and excitement. Many blessings to you in the days ahead. Namaste.